Hello and welcome to the Spirit Hunters podcast. I'm Lance White Eagle and joining me today are...
Hunter!
I forgot. Brenda, and I haven't taken a sip yet.
Lisa.
And Shane. She's like...
Well, I was waiting for Christy to say hers, and she's not even there.
And today we're going to be talking about our return investigation to the Stone House in Machias, New York. And we were able to go in there as part of our partnership with Cattaraugus County.
We probably should say the whole thing. Department of Economic Development and Tourism. Mouthful, but...
Mm-hmm. And so, just kind of to recap a little bit, we had done the Stone House last year.
Year before. Yeah, August of the year before, yeah.
And got some
pretty good stuff.
Pretty interesting things there.
Video on our YouTube.
Yep. Yeah, you can check out not just our podcast on it, but video showing some of the highlights of the footage that we were able to use because some of our cameras were corrupted or turned off.
TikTok, just click the link in my bio or our bio, and then Facebook, you know, it's somewhere up towards the top of the page.
Yep. Or go to SpiritHunters.group and you have links to all of our social media.
Yep.
So we were pretty excited to get back into the Stone House. It took
a while,
quite some doing
to
get back in there.
Yeah, well, the department has been very busy this past year. They lost a few employees. They had some big projects like the marina, so it was a little more difficult. And we should say we have to get legislative approval to be in there because it's a county-owned building, and it has a museum for the county, medical offices, and parole office. So,
and before it was that, though, it was originally a poorhouse or kind of acting as an asylum.
Yeah. It was a poor farm / later. What they say, what's the derogatory terms for the people back then that were mentally ill?
A lot of
psych ward, mentally ill.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
something like lunatic asylum or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, but
and then after that, it was also a.
Well,
God, this is a long chest
for later, guys.
That's a long chest. No.
It was a nursing home for quite a while recently, up until just 5-10 years ago,
something like that.
Yeah,
maybe 15.
Yeah, so a lot of people that passed on there, a lot of in the past people who were mistreated or forgotten about.
Unfortunately, back in those days, I think the idea of these poor houses and poor farms were good to try to help, you know, the indigent and people that needed some kind of help. But due to horrible lack of funding, I'm sorry.
It's the content.
It's barely 8 o'clock on a Saturday night. Funding, lack of a lot of things.
Unscrupulous people get in there, do experiments on people.
Because they have offered low wages. So when you have almost no budget, you get the lowest probably denominations of nurses and doctors and supporting staff.
Or people who were fired from
even all the ones that were good, willing, you tried to do the right thing. It was just, when you have 50 people to one, it's just too much. Yeah. And in this case, this one actually did pretty well for the farm. It was somewhat successful, but they only have a 14-year period where they documented deaths. And they had 238 deaths just in a 14-year period. The 50 years before that and after that, plus, they didn't document the deaths. That doesn't also count when it was a senior citizen home. So you're looking at potentially
thousands,
or at least over 1,000 deaths.
I think we should also
but
do
then
like,
when we were looking at the
do
plaque,
whatever you're
there
going to say
was
to do
only
like a quick
70
recap.
something.
Or something that we last time.
was on plaque for the 14-year
Was
period.
it?
Yeah.
We are working on with a bunch of people to get more history. We have a great woman, Arden at Pines, who is getting a lot of that history for us. She's found many more names of people that had died, and a lot of other stories, and we're going to combine that sometime this next year, put it out on our website, and you know, when we do Stonehouse 3, we'll have a lot more information to go on, you know.
So like Hunter was reminding me, just the kind of, like I said, if you want the full story, be sure to check out our earlier podcast on the Stonehouse and our episode, of the highlights of the Stonehouse investigation. But when we got there the first time, we got people who were in distress, who seemed like they maybe couldn't speak so well, had some kind of mental illness.
That we picked up
With
with
the
the
disability.
spirit box,
Yeah.
camera, audio, like just tools, you know, we use.
use.
But yeah, the shadow figures on the SLS, you
Yeah,
know.
Lisa caught a very large shadow figure wearing a hat and a cloak,
Yeah.
which is pertinent here coming up in a minute. And we also got coming through on the spirit box a much darker entity.
Yeah.
We should probably too note that this place, before we ever went there, has been hundreds of stories about it, with people seeing apparitions, a guy in a top hat, one of the big ones is a woman in a red dress, many government employees, everybody, patients there have had paranormal experiences. So this top hat kind of goes right along with
remember the first
for the
day
lights.
that we were there and we were doing the investigation, but we were getting a walkthrough first? Just in that lobby where we set up the last time, remember on the EVP, everybody was accounted for, and we literally had just came into the building and we heard a scream
Oh, yeah.
that was caught,
This was a walkthrough back in
Yeah.
June of last year.
like like a woman screaming.
Yeah.
But we have no idea.
Yeah.
So this main entity that was not pleasant, that we assumed to be a doctor from some of the things that we caught from it.
Picked up on, yeah.
Oh, and the sounds you heard of the machine.
Yeah, they can get all that information in the other one, but just the pertinent for the things that
The
happen.
big things, yeah.
So I think we should probably start off with before we got to the investigation.
Yeah.
We did a
Remember the top hat guy we were talking
Yeah.
about?
And we'll warn you, some of this sounds a little crazy. But
Believe it, we
We
kind of think
wanted
it's a
to
little
try
bit
to be
too
a lot more interactive with you guys, tell you a little bit more stuff
Mhm.
behind the scenes.
more
than
in depth.
we were
view.
before.
yeah.
And
So we did a and I won't say where because I don't want to throw anybody under the bus.
Right.
We did a public appearance, and at this public appearance, we ran into somebody
Somebody we didn't know.
we didn't know who was trying to. We found out later, like help people in a way by opening them up to the spiritual things.
this
Yes.
person had, certain abilities to be able to somehow make people
Yeah.
more open.
Which is, the intent was good, but
But you should never
we
do
asked,
that to
especially
somebody.
as native
As
people,
our background,
that's
yeah.
something you ask somebody about.
Like, is it okay
Because
if
some people don't want to be open to that,
Exactly.
and that's fine. That's their choice.
Right. Even if you're a good witch and you think you're doing the right thing, without somebody's consent, you should never do
Yeah.
that.
Right, yeah.
We, however, are in a little bit of a different position. We're already open to things and take
A little more sensitive just from being...
precautions to not let things be any closer. But after this speaking engagement, we were getting ready to leave,
That's the puppy.
and
If you hear that, ignore it, guys.
and funnily enough, the last thing Shane said to me, we gave each other a hug, and we were getting ready to go home, and Shane said, "Oh, we're going to see the top hat guy again soon," and I was like, "Who?" And he said that he had just gotten word that the finalized for the Stone House had gone through, and that we had a date and we were going back there. And so then everybody returned to our respective homes, and you guys want to talk about your daughter's experience that night?
Yeah, we could do that, but it seems like we already talked about this online.
We may have brought it up and
Go ahead, Lisa. Tell
No,
what happened
because
with
this was just
Hopi.
before the second stone house that this happened.
Yeah, and we should say too, before we even did that speaking engagement, I was feeling apprehensive for some reason. And coming up to the stone house too, there was some weird stuff. But anyway, we get back and Hope was the first one, our youngest. We have 9 to 31 are kids. And
Age range, not that many.
we got 31 kids.
I think they do have 9. Right, but
Ow. So, ow.
that's what I'm thinking about all those kids.
Yeah,
Ow.
Hope was upstairs in bed because it was a school night, and I usually go up to bed with her, just to kind of wind down. And I'm old and I get tired anyway, so I did not go up right away with her, and she was up there for
at least 35, 40 minutes.
half hour or so, and she had messaged me on her phone, and it was like all caps, and I didn't have, my phone was already on silent.
Lisa and I were discussing all the stuff that happened during the speaking engagement. It was a pretty good one.
Yeah, so I picked up my phone and I'm checking in and going upstairs, and Hope had sent all these messages, capital letters, Mom, hurry, when are you coming up? I'm scared, Mom, I'm crying, and whatever. So I'm like, what the heck? So I go up there, she's in bed, blankets over her head, and she's crying. And I'm like, why are you crying? Like, what's happening? And she said that she saw like a shadow person, like a shadow, and she didn't know what it was. I can't quite remember the
just
whole
scared the
details.
crap
But
out
it saw the shadow figure first, looking through the French doors in her bed.
Yeah, through the top windows, which is,
Very tall.
I mean, there's only
Yeah,
2
yeah.
people in our family who could look through those windows.
We
and
should
Cody.
say that those bedrooms up there are very tall ceilings. But
And so so she was crying, and she got up the nerve to go through that room where she saw the shadow to get tissue to wipe her nose.
Well, and she told me, she said, and she wanted to investigate. Even though she was scared, she needed to investigate. And it's like, you listen to too many of us talk.
Yeah.
So she goes through, gets the tissue, wipes her nose, and on the way back, she's got a I don't know, 5 foot tall mirror in her room. But also when you're walking into our room, there's a big, huge mirror on the wall. Now I don't know if it was in her mirror or if it was in our mirror. She could see a shadow behind her, a person. She could see like a face outline, but she couldn't make out.
she said the face was distorting.
Yeah.
It came up really close behind her, so she's sitting there looking at it in the mirror behind her, and the face was distorted.
And when I had asked her about it, she said that it didn't, which she was very clever because it's hard to describe those kind of things, especially when you're young. But she said what was kind of off-putting to her about it is it did not exude any emotion. Like it was
just like
emotionless.
That may
It
sound
is just-
weird for a 9-year-old, but she's a very
Yeah.
intelligent child.
However, but before that, so
Didn't it have a hat on?
no. What she saw could have had a hat on, the shadow was saying, but this was just, and it was like her height.
Her height.
Right.
So that was the day you confirmed it. Before then,
You have something to say, Hopi?
She's
our little producer behind the camera.
It wasn't emotionless. It was like emotionless. It was smiling. Really
smiling.
high, and it was like a little girl peeking over my shoulder. Like the other one, it was like in my.
All right. You're gonna have to repeat
Yeah.
that because nobody.
She said it was smiling and like a feminine.
But like I saw it and.
A little girl peeking over her shoulder.
But
In
she had,
addition,
no, she had also told me, that's what I was going to say. So a few days before, actually, is when the weirdness started. That's when stuff got crazy, is that night. But when I had asked Hope about it, when I had come over that evening, she said she had saw it before when she heard her friend, like the Wednesday or something like that before. And when her and her friend were doing something and it came up, like they saw it in the phone screen or something like that.
It was like the same. It was like the look. It's like the same.
The same? Yeah.
But, like it was like when the Halloween decorations was up.
Oh,
and I was taking a picture.
Yeah, around Halloween time
But
in a picture.
It was like between. It was looking at me, and I was between like her phone and her face.
Yeah.
So it was looking towards Hope, and she saw it between her friend and the phone. That same day that Hope saw that was the first day, I just believe, Chrissy, who's usually here with us, had come home and saw something weird.
I thought.
Now she saw it twice.
No, I thought Monkeys was first though. Really?
Monkeys was the Friday. Was that the day after the speaking engagement?
Okay.
Chrissy had come home from work and saw a peculiar cat sitting on her front porch on the same day, as far as we can determine, the same day Hope first saw the face. And she thought it was odd because she has a chihuahua that barks at everything.
Literally.
If it comes near the house, that dog's going to try to rip its friggin' face off.
Dog didn't stop barking. I was
Yeah.
only outside.
Yeah. But she pulled in and this cat was sitting on her steps in front of her front door and staring at her. As she drove down the road, it's looking at her as she pulls in. And Chrissy gets out, the cat doesn't move. And it occurs to her later like the dog's not reacting at all. And Chris calls to the cat. She tries to, because she wants anything with fur. She wants to snuggle it.
Yeah.
But calls it and talks to it, and the cat doesn't move. It just stares at her with these very big, vibrant green eyes. And she walks up to it. The cat doesn't have any reaction until she's about 5 feet from it. And then it just kind of slinks off the porch into her bush. Doesn't like meow, doesn't necessarily like...
Doesn't run.
It acts very strangely, and she kind of made mental note of it, of like, that's odd. She has a couple neighborhood cats, but not any that looks like that. And then a few days, and it turned out we're assuming it sounds like that same day.
On the Chrissy one, later that evening, it was staring at her through the
No.
window.
It was the same day because the next day I told you about.
Not for Chris's
No,
other thing.
the first time she saw it was the day that you were supposed to sign the paperwork, which was the same day, and then it came back later. So Hope sees that, and Lisa goes up to bed, and you want to relay what you saw, Lisa?
If she remembers.
What I saw?
Yeah, when you went to bed.
Oh, that was the night that we did our presentation.
Yeah,
That's
that
what
was
he's talking
that was the same night.
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh.
that was the same night as when Hope was scared.
Oh, yeah. So it was a restless night. I can say that. I had fallen asleep, but I had woke up because I had this weird dream, and I thought it was a dream. I knew I was dreaming, and it just felt weird. It
Felt
was
real.
Well, I don't know. It's hard to explain. So, in my dream, it's me laying in bed, like I'm watching myself in bed, dreaming of this doctor shadow figure, and he's like coming through the doors, the French doors, and he's like slowly walking towards me. And in my dream, I kept telling him, "You can't be here. You need to leave. Da 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 da. Whatever." He just kept coming. So I woke myself up in my dream, and then I woke up. So I'm just like, okay, that's weird. It was so weird, and I don't normally get freaked out or anything. I had to go pee. I did not get up to go pee.
Like, I'm holding it till the sun comes up.
I did not want to go in there. So I closed my eyes, and I'm awake still with my eyes closed, and I could see him. Like, he came through again. Just like standing there. He was like
in that same place.
He was like holding like a staff stick or something. Like, it was a tall stick, which was different than from what we had captured at the Stone House, but this had went on for like hours. Like, I could not go to sleep because this
whatever entity,
whatever you want to call it, kept coming to me. He didn't didn't say anything, just kept slowly inching his way, like to the point where I almost woke up Shane. But I was just like, no, I'm not. I just played my music, turned my music on, and was listening to music. But every time I shut my eyes, there he is.
And so eventually you did fall asleep.
Like 4.5 hours later. Yeah.
And then shortly after, Shane, you got up and you had some experience that morning.
I got up at 6. It was a school day, so I come downstairs. I do a little cleaning, get the coffee going, that kind of stuff, and then I go back up and clean up and do whatever. Well, I go back up, and we have a back staircase that goes to our master bathroom. And I heard it's a house was built in 1888. There's a lot of creaks in the stairs, and you get used to them as you're walking up these steps. I heard somebody about 4th or 5th step creaking on those 2 stairs, like they were coming up. I'm at the vanity, which is 5 feet from the door, so I go and look down the stairs to see if it was a dog or whatever. Nothing was there. A little weird, but didn't think too much of it. I'm going back, I'm brushing my teeth or something, and then I hear the top stairs before the landing, and then the stairs right from the landing to our room. Somebody about my weight. That's how it sounded like, like I'm coming up the stairs. So 200-pound person, and I was like, I'm thinking there's no doubt now, because it wasn't just 2 slow steps. Somebody's coming up at a quicker pace that's heavy.
Yeah.
So I'm hiding behind the vanity
From my view, I saw him doing this.
and I'm getting ready when they get to the top to bulldog them back down the staircase.
Dad's just gonna let this. He's just gonna.
Yeah,
down the stairs.
It is gotchas and tank tops.
Right when I do the last step, I go, and there's nobody there. And I'm like, what? I almost cussed.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the heck? I could not believe it, because it was definitely, I thought we had an intruder in the house. I'm like, what the, and I look, and Lisa's standing right behind me. I
It's
didn't even
just
know
a
she was
lady
coming
ghost
behind me.
upstairs trying to get a peek at you.
She doesn't weigh that kind of weight.
And that's something wanting you to know.
She peeks at me all the time.
here.
I'm here.
And only me at that time. There's nobody else up in the house, and I really thought that we had a couple of people trying to break in, so we got cameras all over.
I wasn't scared to pee at him.
I thought I was going to bulldog somebody down the stairs.
Yeah.
And then
Water boy style.
Lisa's right behind me. She goes, "You saw something, didn't you?" And she don't get up till a little after me, but she was that day, even though she didn't sleep most of the night. And I said, "Well, I heard something." And then she told me about some of her stuff. I'm like, "Oh, geez."
So then you guys came downstairs. You're getting ready to go about your day, and your oldest son, Dakota, who you guys have seen in some of our videos,
Looks like me but taller.
Yeah,
Less
especially in
moldy.
our Elks Club. We have some clips from our TikTok Live Elks Club if you want some Dakota highlights.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Ain't no set.
Yeah. But Cody came downstairs and was getting ready to go to work, and he had an incident too, correct?
Yeah, I mentioned something to him about, I asked him, I said, "By chance, did you have anything weird happen last night?" He goes, "Why'd you ask me that?" And I'm like, "Well, because I want to know." He goes, "Yeah, he went to bed at 3:30 in the morning. He turned off his television, laid down, and then he hears what sounds like softly wet carpet, somebody walking through it.
Yeah. Right by his bed, back and forth.
Right beside his bed.
I can assure you there was no water up there.
No. So he gets up, turns the light on, and you know how we do. You talk yourself out of it. Well, I must be here. So turns it back off. It starts doing it again. And then he realized this is something else.
Yeah.
I'll tell Dad in the morning, kind of thing, and just ignored it. Like
Ignored
we
it
always
until
taught
he
our
could go to
kids to
sleep.
do.
Yep.
Right. I think that was it for the
For
happened
you
in our
guys.
house.
So
Monkeys.
yeah, Shane put a message into our group chat saying, "Hey, we had some weird stuff go on. Anybody have anything weird?"
And we usually don't. We're pretty good at protecting our house and ourselves.
Yeah.
But we didn't realize this woman who also gave us all,
A gift.
we'll say a gift, yeah, which I think helped reinforce her thing.
Yeah.
We don't usually accept any.
I mean,
gifts
we'll
from
we also
we'll
don't
accept
accept
gifts and donations if you want
hugs
to
from
send
random
us some
people.
roses, yeah.
Or hugs from people we never saw before.
Yeah, because they might be,
From our years of power, when people come
Yeah,
up
you
with
be
crystals or certain weird
Oh,
things,
no.
you have to
Certain
be careful
weird
what
things.
there's some weird ones.
So Shane put that in the chat, saying, "Hey, anybody else have anything weird going on?" The same night, Lisa was having her experience, and Hope was having her experience. Chrissy, who lives in a totally different town,
Different state.
different state, yeah, she was having a dream, like a regular plain. She has weirdo dreams often, not about spooky stuff, just like weird, like
Yeah, just oddball thing.
oddball stuff. Yeah, she's got a very active mind. And
I was playing
imagination.
volleyball with a penguin.
Yeah, exactly, that kind of stuff. So she was having a normal dream, and then she started to hear this wailing in it, which did not like a moaning. If I
Like a
remember
La
correctly.
Llorona whale, or just like a weeping whale? Oh,
like
okay.
a pain
Gotcha.
weeping.
How was that again?
If I'm remembering correctly, Chrissy couldn't make it today, so I'm filling in her info.
I'm the guy from Ebenezer Scrooge.
Yeah, yeah, the
Bob
Marley.
Marley.
Yeah.
Not Bob
Not
Marley.
Bob Marley. So this sound she heard did not fit with her dream, and like
It
it
was
kind of
almost an interruption to the
yeah, it was something out, and it kind of like snapped her mind out of the dream, and she realized like, hold on, this is
Not right.
not right. And if I recall correctly, and she's not here, so she can't correct me, but if she's watching, she can message us.
I don't know if I saw.
No,
that.
I think she's working on stuff all evening. She woke up and still heard it for a bit in her
As
house.
she was awake.
Yes.
Yes.
And so she was like, okay, and
Which
she
is kind of weird because that's how hers was. Dream and then real
and then
life
carrying
at the same
through.
time.
Yeah.
Thanks for the likes, guys. Jamie.
And she, did, because she grew up Catholic, so she like prayed and things, and she asked her dad to watch out for her and things, and and it eased her, and she was able to go back to sleep.
I wonder, that night at the presentation, that kind of ties into all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, you and Chrissy heard something similar. You wanna?
Yeah, so
In real time.
yeah, like at the same time. But I didn't know that she had heard something, and she didn't know that I had heard something. So you guys are sitting on either side of me, and I think you were talking, and I hear what sounds like this older lady like moaning, like she was sad,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and it came from like that side of me. So I was just like,
Just for my sake, was it similar? Remember when we were at Simeon Robbins and we kind of heard that through the walkie? Was it anything like that?
I only heard like the old lady saying hello.
There was
Yeah.
a little bit of moaning, me, monkey, tenor.
Oh no, it didn't sound like that.
Okay.
So then I had heard it from that side, and then it sounded like it was coming from behind me on the stage, like it was going like around. Because then I heard it on this side, so I'm like, what the heck? And I'm looking, he's
We should know
talking.
too. We had some cat balls, rip pods up there at this speaking engagement,
Yeah.
and they were going off like crazy while we were
Crazy,
talking.
yeah.
But
And
we also
he's-
didn't get any old women moaning when we did that investigation. We had the
These-
spirit balls going
not
off,
that
we had
we
stuff talking
were-
to us,
Yeah.
but we didn't get that.
Realized, yeah.
And like you're talking and you
I
aren't
didn't
hearing
hear it.
anything. I'm looking over at you and you're just sitting there, listening to him talk like a great. And I'm like looking in the audience thinking, okay, it's like, is
Anybody else
going over?
noticing
Yeah.
this?
Chrissy was in the audience for that one, and she heard it coming from behind her, and there were some older people sitting behind her, and she thought, oh my god, this lady's having a heart attack.
Well,
So she
let's
turned
just-
around and then realized, like, wait,
Just
nobody
for,
else is
you know,
reacting.
just for everyone to know, like it was Grandma, Christy, and then me. Neither one of us on either side of her heard it.
No.
Neither one of you two on the side of Lisa heard it. And then
I should
coincidentally,
say I am pretty deaf.
you know,
Yeah,
I mean, yeah,
I can
you
hear
too.
pretty well.
Yeah, but
So Shane messages in the morning like, you didn't relay your experiences the night. Just asking if anybody
Yeah, I just
had
asked
anything.
generally if you guys had anything happen.
Which made Chrissy think, oh, like maybe there was more to. So she messaged Shane privately, and Shane was telling her some of the things that they had experienced in the night. So Chrissy was downstairs and she was talking to her mom, telling her like, hey, like Shane and Lisa had this going on and I had this. And as she's talking about it, she happens to glance outside her window and she sees that cat from days before sitting there staring at her through the window. Not blinking, just and you can't even actually see inside Chrissy's windows when the sun's shining, you know, like how it works with the dark house and stuff. But it is definitely staring at her. And then, so she runs outside, like stops talking, runs outside, like, you know, because now she's kind of realizing, oh, I don't think.
There's more to this.
Yeah. Runs outside, and the cat kind of trots and then sits in the road and just stares at her for a while. You know? And.
That was my chair, by the
Yeah.
way, my boot.
I was gonna say something.
No, that's my boot on the wooden part of this chair.
Shortly after that, I
Some gas.
got to Chrissy's house because we were supposed to go out and have dinner and stuff like that. And she fills me in on all the stuff that's going on.
At this time, did you already hear what happened?
No.
Oh.
No. I slept late. Chrissy and I were supposed to get together, so I kind of glanced at the group chat and I was like, we were
I didn't
planning to
have
see each
anything.
other the next day.
I think you and I were the only ones that didn't really have anything personally happen to us.
Yeah, I didn't have, no. And we were coming over here the next day, so I was
Yeah.
figuring like, oh, well, you'll just tell me that.
Talk about it there, yeah.
But when I got to Chrissy's, Chrissy informed me, no, she already had, by the time I got to Chrissy's house, when I'm on my way is when she was talking to Ronnie. Ronnie,
Who lives in California?
yeah, if any of you guys are familiar with our lives and stuff like that, Ronnie's pretty active on them and has a lot of insights into paranormal things and stuff like that. So Chrissy had called Ronnie and was discussing Shane and Lisa's and hers experiences. And while she's on the phone, Ronnie's mom beeped in. So Ronnie takes the mom's phone call, and her mother, who I think lives in California, but
In not the same city.
I don't think so. Her mother Ronnie's mother had feelings and intuitions and things like that, and she told Ronnie that your friends have something that's bothering them,
Something dark.
that there was a person that we came in contact with who tried to open it, and Ronnie's mom knows none of this stuff.
Yeah, she doesn't know us.
She doesn't know us at all. Like we actually, none of us have even really
Spoken
like
to her or
spoken to. Yeah.
Like I don't think like it was Ronnie and her kid watch our lives all the time.
Angel, shout out to Angel. We gotta love Angel. He's awesome.
Yeah. But her mom gave some insights into things that she had no idea was going on.
Yeah.
Right. She said a doctor. It's
Yeah,
another
a doctor.
specific thing the mom said.
Yeah.
A doctor with a top hat. A guy with a top
Well, at first, the doctor, she said when we were over here, on that first phone call, she said the man in the top hat, and she said that he's had already been there, is the feeling she got. I don't think in this house. I think she was getting relayed a message that we had come in contact with it before.
Yeah. Or that something that whatever it is coming after us for
Yeah.
something.
So yeah, when Chrissy tells me all that, I was messaged Shane and I was like, hey, we're gonna come over.
You also probably should put monkeys on a part of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Let me just put this out there for a second, guys. TikTok, if you guys have any questions relating to anything we're talking to as well, feel free to drop them in the comments and then we'll try to get to them as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm.
When
But
I
yeah,
heard these things,
feel free to interact with
my
us too.
first thought is all of these are warnings about you going to that place, and make sure you're careful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we came over, Chrissy and I came over here that night. got all everybody's information. We discussed all the things that were going on. Later, we found out Monkey and Tana had a similar feline visitor that same day that you guys, everybody had their stuff going on. Tana was outside getting stuff put away for winter and got this odd feeling and turned around and sees a cat sitting in her yard staring at her. And Tana, just, I think probably because she was feeling like
So she also doesn't scare really easily either,
No,
not necessarily.
but it made her uncomfortable,
Yeah.
so she was like, hey, get out of here. And the cat wouldn't
Didn't
wouldn't react. So she went and got her husband, she went and got Monkey, and Monkey's not even a big fan of cats.
No.
So he came out and like clapped his hands real loud, like, hey, get out of here. Cat didn't move.
Didn't even budge.
No, just stared at
there.
her.
Like, and as she moved around the yard, it kept its focus
Oh yeah, that's true.
on
That's
her.
before she tried to ignore it, and it kept just watching her, and that's when she got
set
Monkey.
one position and
Yeah.
just followed her back.
And they were not at the
They were.
presentation with us.
No, they weren't at the presentation. No.
But they were.
They
at the
were
original
at
They
the
were
They were
at
at
the
the
house.
stone
Yep.
house, yeah.
So Monkey, if the cat wouldn't move, he's yelling at it, clapping until he got just a few feet from it, and then it didn't run. It just kind of turned and like walked away and like looked back at him, and you know. So like Mom said, we were theorizing that the cats weren't necessarily something evil,
It was
but something telling you guys, hey, pay attention.
a warning, yep.
You know.
And yeah, it's not lost on us the symbolism of all these
Mm.
things.
Right.
And what about
Yeah.
your thing after?
Yeah. Well, that was the night
That
we
was the
went.
That was
Yeah.
while you were there.
Yeah.
And while they were there, one of you got on the spirit box that they were asking
Well,
for
we'll get
lands.
to that in a second. But we came over that Friday, smoked everybody, smoked the house,
Smoked the house, yeah.
Sealed the house.
sealed the house, sealed Chrissy's house and property, and everybody just had the mentality of like, okay, we need to be extra careful going in.
Cautious, yeah.
Before because this was a couple weeks before the investigation.
No.
It was about a
No.
week
Yeah.
before it, yeah.
Yeah, it was a couple before, I think.
Anyways.
No,
So
it was
Days.
days. Remember,
No.
that's why I brought up the top hat guy about.
yeah, it wasn't days.
No, because we had the
Days-
fire that Friday. It wasn't the day before, so it had been
No.
at least about a week, maybe just over a week.
I
At
think
the what Friday?
Because we had the fire when we were talking about everything.
Right. The next
We-
Saturday after that. not
Yeah,
that
so
Saturday.
about a week,
oh.
a little over a week.
So before the investigation actually came up, Chrissy had a personal tragedy occur. So Chrissy, Mom, and I were not going to go. We were going to stay with her and help take care of Chris. And these guys set off for the stone house. What did you guys have anything when you got there?
Yeah, well, in the main, not lobby, but the main part of the museum.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, they don't have the elephant tusk, the mammoth tusk there anymore.
Yeah.
But in that area, Ellen, who unfortunately she's not here, was having the cat ball, the spirit balls, and the music box going off like crazy. And I'm a little skeptical of the music box, so I always test it and move it to different locations just to see if it's.
It's very
You know,
sensitive.
You
Sometimes.
gotta think, because if it's
if
a
it
pulse that
rocks
kind
at all.
of or if it's bouncing off the floor or something that's on front, it's going to set it off. So I had it propped up on this ledge where it was actually hanging over the ledge by about a quarter inch. So there's no way it's hitting anything down there. Nothing in front of it for 6-7 feet. And then we were talking. We were like something like, "Hey, if you were the one setting us off earlier, can you come back here and do it again?" And then next thing you know, ding ding ding. And we're like, okay, well that's weird. Then we were like, okay, if this is you, can you set this spirit ball off? And keep in mind that spirit ball hasn't been on the entire time I was over there. Just flashing going off. I was like, oh, that's pretty.
And this
but
thing
the whole
wasn't shy.
night.
We should say the director of
Yeah.
the Department of Economic Development and Tourism was there. Maintenance director was there. There was all kinds of people there that were watching this happen.
And the entire night, they were having that kind of stuff going on in that whole area of the room.
Mhm.
Not even just that one spot, you know. So that was pretty cool. I don't know. We got a bunch of like readings and stuff in the basement. I don't know.
A lot of equipment interaction, cat balls, REM pods.
I know one thing that wasn't working. My rods. Remember?
She had a rod block.
I did. They did not want to work inside the building.
I hate rod blocks.
Really? I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, nope, they
Yeah.
did
They
not.
refused to work.
Would not do anything. They wouldn't even point to anything, anybody. So I would take them outside. They worked outside. In the building, nothing.
And we had more access to the building too, which was really good.
Yeah, a little bit more. They opened up the rest of the floors and some of the side rooms and stuff like
Yeah,
that for
which
us.
which is good. You know, it was. We had a couple shadow things that people saw, but the second, and third floor, a lot of cat ball and REM pod stuff. One of the rooms we heard movement around in again, similar to the first one, but not near as much. And we had that room open this time.
Yeah.
The one that had the most stuff, like
Yeah.
furniture being moved in it.
Bangs.
And while you guys were starting, getting your early stuff, I was picking Chrissy up, bring her back to our house. And Mom, you had something at our house occur as these guys were probably setting up and getting their first interactions.
Tisk, tisk,
You want
tisk.
to talk about that?
There was a loud bang on my back door on the window.
Like he said, this is when we were at the investigation with this evil thing was, you know.
Mhm.
And of course, I opened the door, which you shouldn't do, by the way.
Well,
Yeah,
you shouldn't do in any circumstance if you're a older person who's home alone and somebody you're not expecting or whatever, you hear a
Banging on your
loud
door.
bang on your door.
Pretty late at night.
Like most people aren't going to
Yeah, pretty late at
come up to
night.
your
Right,
door and
so,
just bang on
To
it.
recap, don't open the door in that situation, especially if you're a native and you might know what spooks are out there.
Well, this
You gotta be
wasn't
careful
late.
what
This
you
was like-
invite in.
This was like 6 o'clock.
Well, I
Okay,
did
that's-
like
Oh,
try
really?
to see
Yeah.
through the curtain, and I couldn't see anyone.
Oh, I can't see
So
anybody,
I
so
opened
let
the
me
door
just...
to see if it was some kid jumped to the side or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there
but
was
I
no
mean-
one
I
there.
mean, if it was...
There was
if it
no
was,
human
I
there.
I was going to say, if it was an entity doing that, he's not going to let you see him.
No.
No, there was no human there.
And it's not like there's lots of places to hide.
No, there's not.
Our
It's-
side street
no.
is pretty open. There's not even like trees.
No.
Nope.
So that was it. I didn't know about the rock. They worked the. Yeah,
I think
our
it worked
first-
later on,
No,
No.
right?
they quit working at the Stone House the first time. They worked for a while.
The first time.
The first time we were at the Stone House, because I had watched the video of you talking to the girl who wanted the music.
Upstairs,
Yeah.
Yeah, and in the basement for a bit,
for a little bit.
and then they just stopped the first time too, if I recall correctly.
And they worked outside when we did the cemetery. And
Where were you...
When Lisa
Where were
asks
you
for
at the
permission,
first
sometimes
time?
when there's a
They did
negative
stop- they
thing
stopped working.
that don't
Or
want
they didn't
people to
want to work.
interact.
Like,
it
were you in the
tells her-
basement when you first
No.
tried them, or were you upstairs somewhere?
like the second time when we went back,
The second time we went, yeah, when you were trying to use
in the
rods.
lobby, like when you guys were setting up. I
I was
always
saying, you were
ask
in the
my 3
basement.
questions before I use them, and nothing.
Yeah,
They
anyway,
wouldn't even answer.
what I was saying is sometimes that negative thing probably just said no, because we try to respect, what we're talking to.
And I tried multiple times throughout the night.
And I think it was him saying, I don't want you, and he was kind of blocking anybody else from interacting with her too.
Which is kind of what we got from him the first time. Was
Yeah.
once he showed up, it was
The
we
other
didn't
things
get
got
stuff
quiet.
From the other
And the other
things.
thing said that they were scared of it.
Yeah.
They actually said that on the spirit box and all other
Mhm.
or rod. They
Yeah.
were scared of it. That
So-
Charles or whatever.
Yeah. So you guys got early
Yeah.
on music box. You got spirit ball activity. You got
Yeah.
your weird meter readings.
We did in the basement. We got a lot. This is excuse me. What I was about to say is we all went down to the basement. Me, you, Monkey, Tana, Lisa, Tom, and I think Kate went down there, right? we decided to do a spirit box session in this special room that if you guys watch that video, our past one, you know what room we're talking about. And I don't remember who was on it first. I think it was, I don't know, either way, we started getting like instant activity there. We ended up having a K2 set up on this little stand behind whoever was doing the spirit
Wow,
box.
that's when I was there.
We did that before.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
And a cat ball.
The cat ball. And this K2, keep in mind, we're in the basement, surrounded, like, in the middle of this room that had no...
Storage stuff.
It was just storage.
Yeah.
And if it was something, you know, electrical, it would have been going off the entire time. That K2 didn't move. Somehow, it would go from dead zero to spiking red and holding red for, you know, 20, 30 seconds at a time. But then, yeah, it
And
just...
the cat ball would go off pretty much on command.
Yeah.
And sometimes when they just wanted attention,
Yeah.
which was when we were talking about something that happened.
Yeah, we said we do have that on video. We'll try to get that out of that, well, just that camera in that room because there was so much going on, you know. But yeah, it was pretty cool. And then because I ended up calling Lance, you know, you decided to come.
Well, Monkey messaged me, but do we want
Because
to get to
of
that
something
now?
that was said on the
Yeah.
spirit box.
Yeah, but just unless you guys remember anything that happened, you guys got before they came.
He had a spirit box session down in the basement.
Oh, the
That's-
same time. Yeah, that's what we're going to get to.
That's when Monkey messaged me, was when Shane, I
Yeah.
think, was on it.
You guys remember anything?
Well, when Monkey was on it right before me, and Monkey said, you know,
Tom was the first one. That was it.
tell Lance to come or something like that.
You said
Or
something
on
like,
the
I
spirit
want
box.
Lance.
I want
what you
Lance.
I want Lance. Right. And that was it for Monkey. He's like, oh, I can take this off. And that irked me that this thing was brazen. And so I got on. And I'll tell you the truth. You know, a lot of people that were watching it there, I was not saying everything that was being said. One, it was a lot of vulgarity.
Being very gross.
But it was very personal. It was talking about my brother in a very negative way and what it was going to do to him. And I was sitting there.
Not vulgar stuff to me.
No.
It's like, hold on, that's a totally different podcast.
And then it was. I was in my head saying this. Now, why he was really insistent and he came really close to me right here, and I could feel him. There were other things every now and then saying something. When I would hear that, that's what I would say out to the thing, even though I was getting more and more aggravated. And I was not the nicest to him because he's threatening my family. So when I did that, then he started with my wife. Well,
Not
you know,
just her.
I can take her over. I you know, all this stuff like that.
Mhm.
You know, I will. You know, she can't resist me. You know, she's too open or things like that.
Yeah.
And so I'm
I
getting
didn't
more
know
and more
this
aggravated,
before.
and I'm saying, buddy, I will dissipate you. I will, you know, normally I don't ever act like that, and I try to be respectful of everything, but this thing is evil, and it was making very personal threats.
And the reason I wanted Lance is because the time before he had
It
said
kind of
something
infected
to
me.
Lance, and Lance got mad at it, and they had a
That always
conversation.
spooked me a bit.
And they had a
And
conversation.
He was playing off of that this time. I won't say
Yeah.
exactly.
It was
what
also,
stuff
we
because
want to
it's
mention,
derogatory.
it was also going after Tana, and it was touching Lisa and Tana.
Yeah.
One time touched them both in the exact same, well, very close to their bottom side and their lower back, both of them at the exact same time.
Mhm.
So,
You might want to say what you, when I was having that, what you said.
Yeah, well, like you said, you weren't saying everything he was saying.
I thought I was hiding it well, but apparently they could all see that I was getting frustrated.
Well, because his whole demeanor, you know how
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
His voice changes, and he like,
he's coming after me, so I want to get, you know, his
and
voice
he's
gets
like,
deeper.
his jaws are clenching.
Yeah.
So we're like,
I'm ready to
sitting
tackle
like this.
yeah. So whatever he's
He's got
talking
some
about,
easy tells.
because you were talking about, he says he's gonna come after Lisa or you know whatever. So he didn't know, but I said on the outside, you can't have me or you can't get me or something. You know, I got too many loved ones protecting me. Oh, I think I just spit. Sorry.
Gleek.
Too many people protecting me. You know, blah blah blah. But he didn't know that was happening while he was doing his spirit box.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think he was a little more agitated than me maybe this time, also because
I think because you weren't there and he waited all this time to try to get to
well,
you.
He thought,
except I didn't.
he thought Lance
didn't
was a
bother
weak.
me at all.
No,
was a
because
weak-
what I think happened is
He thought, because we should
Louis
say
Bone
too,
I don't
quick.
think so.
he didn't want us to come back there because he was afraid that we were going. I really think
We were going to expose
gonna-
him.
we were going to expel
tell his people that he's holding
Yeah.
so they can move on,
Well,
right?
I would
Western
think
New
though,
York
if he
makes
thought
the
he
lights.
could get to me, I would have had some kind of experience. I think he got mad
Because
when
you
I
couldn't
came
get to you.
immediately over here. We smoked the house, and then I went and sealed Chrissy's house, which she had something outside telling her, "Hey, you need to do something."
Something is
You know, because he didn't. I didn't get nothing. I was
So-
hoping-
But the first
Barb
time you
Morrissey's
had
watching me, Barb.
interaction.
yeah,
Hey,
at the
Barb.
place.
Barb Morrissey's with the Seth Gates.
So I
Hey,
think
Barb.
After Monkey got off is when he messaged me and he's like, "Oh, hey, this thing's calling you out by name," and I
Yeah.
messaged Monkey back because I talked
just
to.
spit on me, but it's okay.
Oh, sorry.
I tried to play it off. I was like, but I can't do it.
I talked to Chrissy and Mom. I was like, "Well, I'm gonna go down there for a little bit." So I messaged Monkey and I was like, "Well, you tell him I'm coming." Monkey got so excited.
I was telling him, I was like, you should call Monkey or what? Because I actually did call you, I think, but it was before you actually said you were
Yeah.
coming. So he's like, tell him I'm coming down. So I'm
We're
like,
like, ooh, Lancey's coming. You in trouble?
And I think that was important. I think with the situation, he did the right thing, but it was important for him to stand up to this thing too.
It was.
Well, we all had to show a united front,
well,
you know.
I think we kind of talked about this before too. I think whatever this thing was trying to be more bravado than he actually was, right? He
Yes.
wasn't actually. I mean, he was something negative, right? Don't get me wrong.
And he's a human
But
spirit, though.
I don't
There's
think he
limitations.
had the strength he wanted us to believe he did.
But
Right.
also, too, remember, this was like our first real investigation. We didn't have hardly anything under our belt. We
The
were
first
pretty
one, yeah, we were
amateurish.
we
you
were
know?
baby ghost hunters. We had maybe an EMF. We had a half-ass SLS camera.
Well, we
You
should
know.
say we know what we were doing. Ghost
Yo,
hunting.
yeah.
Yeah.
Equipment-wise, we didn't have.
Didn't
it.
have enough, yeah.
Now we got thousands.
We got the confidence.
we got everything we need now. But
But right after I left, right before I got to the stone house, you and Chris had
Because
some
it's a
things-
long drive from where we live to where he
Yeah,
was
about
going.
30 minutes plus. You want to talk about what?
whoop, that battery's getting ready to die. Sorry, TikTok. For some reason, our camera is not charging like I thought it was because it just said change the battery. So
Should I go ahead?
yeah, go ahead, Grandma.
So Chrissy and I were sitting in the living room, and there's a cat that visited
Hi,
us.
Aiden.
You know, and all of a sudden he jumped down and whipped his head at this place in the my living room, and Chrissy looks up and she sees a shadow go across the wall.
Sorry about that.
And the cat follows it.
And the cat just watches it. And so I'm like, oh, you little son of a bitch. Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Just want to say thank you to Western New York Cemeteries for the donation. She sent us a heart and she's been liking the crap out of this video.
And we were talking about you a little earlier. I
Yeah.
thought.
Thank you very
So-
much.
Thank you, dear.
Like this thing wanted Lance there. So he was trying to intimidate everybody associated with Lance. And it's rare. I don't even remember a time before that I've had anything come in my house.
We've never had anything.
We've
like that.
never had something in my house.
There was something else too.
Well, this thing,
This
I
is
make you
a
wonder
cat
because he obviously used this woman to help make an opening to get
Yeah.
into our house, right?
Whether she even realized
I
it
wonder
or not.
if because she was a little simple, we'll say,
Okay, yeah, I mean, you probably
well, innocent, naive.
innocent. There you go.
Innocent, yes.
I wonder if he somehow maybe even orchestrated that somehow.
Could be.
Who knows? But
But
And
there
me opening the door could have actually been
You gave it
an
opportunity.
invite to come in.
Yeah.
Because things cannot walk in your house unless they're invited.
But there was something else other than
And it doesn't necessarily
Other than the
have to be
cat-
verbal invite.
It doesn't have to be a verbal
Just
invite,
opening the
but when
door
you
or
open the door like this, you know,
Yeah.
that's an
Hey,
invitation.
who's at my house? I don't see anybody. No.
other than the cat seeing something and Chrissy seeing something, there was something else too.
No, just
No,
a
was
knock
that it?
on the
Oh,
door.
I almost forgot.
Oh no, the cat. Tan and them saw it
no,
again.
I mean at
In
Oh,
my
your house.
our house, yeah.
Well, you guys saw the shadow on the ceiling, right?
Chrissy did.
It was on the wall.
In your house?
Right, walked across
While I
those
was on my way
the
to
panes
Stonehouse.
by the door.
See, that's
The
again where I
Hunter
kind of
Mountain
think
one.
Shady's kind of mistaken-ish on what the doctor thought of me because he didn't try that shit when I was home.
And he didn't do anything
As soon
when you
as I
came there.
When
leave,
he left, is
He
when
knocks on
did
the
it.
door
Yeah.
for Grandma. I had just left to get Chrissy.
Yeah.
And then I leave again, and he's
Then
going to
he-
try to intimidate them when I'm not.
Not to
I don't
mention-
think that you were the weakest. I
No.
think he thought. you
No,
was
I
in-
see, but then he would try to
I
get
think
to
he
me.
was mad at you. Well, he was
Oh,
trying
he
to
was
get
mad
to
at
you
me.
because he demanded you come there.
I think. Well, hold on. Let's backtrack. I think.
Also,
'cause
I think I pissed him off at the
Yeah.
end of
Yes,
our
you
last
did.
investigation because after he did get to me a bit.
Sorry about the language, guys.
Holy-
You can tell
oh,
this is
yeah.
an aggravating
He
thing.
did get to me
I
a
don't
bit,
know what she's sending.
but
Western New York. Thank you. Holy, she's sending. I don't even know
Something.
what kind of. It's called a fest.
Oh,
and she's at
nice.
50 of them. Holy, thank you.
A glitter
Um,
badge. it
That's
says
cool, but
there.
let's get back
when-
on topic here, aren't we?
when we finished the last investigation, I think you do too. I always go around and I put tobacco out. But I went down in the basement when we were done the last time, and Shane says to be nice to everything except this time.
Sometimes.
Shane was pretty aggressive.
We always try to be
Yeah.
as nice
Yeah,
as
that's,
possible.
that's another thing. Every time he's telling us to
I
be
know.
nice, and then the very first thing he does is instantly, let me I'm gonna talk to him. Gets
But-
on there. It's like,
I did that just between us.
Yeah.
just saying.
It wasn't like
the
I
one
did it
time
to
you
them.
were aggressive was
Yes.
the most aggressive thing
Yeah.
we've encountered. Well, maybe not the most, but close.
We got nasty with it the first time we were there.
You did.
Me, you, and Chrissy.
Because he was
I wasn't there the
intimidating.
first time when it happened with you guys in the first investigation.
Yeah, you were.
He
No,
was
when you first
intimidating.
encountered all that stuff that was going
Yeah.
on, I wasn't there.
Yeah.
It wasn't until later on that night.
Yeah, but we were. Chrissy was the nicest of it,
She usually is.
but
Last
she
time I don't
was
have the patience.
agitated. You know, she was mouthy
Let's
too.
say it one more time.
But
He
then-
got angry with
Let's
you
say
you and I-
we
because
go with
you were
everything
talking to the
respect.
good one.
Yes,
But under threat of violence or
Yeah.
that type of thing, that's a different situation.
but
Yes, it is.
yeah, towards the
He
end of
says
the
that,
night,
and then when I say I want to throw hands with a ghost
Yeah.
that pushed me, I'm the bad guy.
towards the end of the night, Hunter and I were not so nice, and then when we were packing up, I went down there and was not so nice. And I think
But you
that
also
idea
talked to the
agitates
spirits
him.
that he was intimidating
Yeah.
and telling them they don't have to listen to him. And that made him mad.
Yeah, but he's also a human-ish entity and not. I mean, he's a blowhard. I
Yeah.
think he was a blowhard in life.
Yeah, I think he just
Because
wanted.
he did all that stuff,
A self-report.
and I'm like, all right, then I'm coming down. But
Well, let's
And,
remember, he was the doctor of these patients that were tied up,
had no defense.
had no way of defending
He's a-
himself.
he's a
He's the
bully.
only male that was down there.
And he
And-
said, well, I was helping them when you
we
were
don't
talking to
tolerate
him.
bullying.
No.
No
We're
bullying.
anti-bullying, so don't bully anybody. Be
But-
nice.
So by the time I got down there, he had already pooped out.
Yeah, he was done.
Yeah.
He couldn't even
Lance-
do anything.
Lance,
by
I
the
don't
time
think
I
Scott
got
put a big show on, and,
Yeah,
but he's
say-
just a human spirit.
Yeah,
it's
I
a
don't-
different thing.
See, I don't think you heard anything from him specifically. It was the
I
other
heard
little
two
people.
things of him trying, but it was so like distant and weak you couldn't even make it out.
Yeah.
It said here, you know,
Mhm.
because I was like, I'm here.
Yeah.
What you gotta say?
Yeah,
buddy?"
he's like, come on.
And it said like here, and
Like, I think, yeah, he
something.
just
It
pooped
was like
himself
two
out.
things.
Yeah.
But that was it.
Yeah. He just,
Which our first experience with him, it was just me, Chrissy, Monkey, and then Hunter a little bit. But by the time we got Shane down there, he couldn't talk anymore.
Matt was there too.
You know, like he has
Yeah,
about
I
he has
think
about an hour,
are
30
they-
minutes,
And then he's done.
he's done.
But after you went there and said, "Well, I'm here," did anybody else try to see if he said anything?
Oh yeah, I spent.
There was a bunch of us on the
We
spirit
tried-
box after
I
that.
think, literally, I think we exhausted.
Well, not to mention, then we had
and I
Monkey
think
go back on.
him stretching himself to do what stuff that it was just too much. Yeah, for a human spirit.
I mean, for a human spirit,
benevolency,
yeah.
and he was pretty strong.
Yeah.
We also
But he still has his limitations.
We also tried like a newer thing where it's like, because we realized that, you know, he was kind of hiding, I guess you could say. But like, we tried to wear Monkey after, we had Monkey on the spirit box and he was in the room by himself, but we're all outside, out the door, right outside, and I got the parabolic microphone. And you don't know it was you.
No, that was me.
Yeah.
I asked you. I was like, like you were like.
Because
"Should we
without,
go out?"
maybe
I was
if
like,
we left him
like,
in the
yeah.
room by himself, maybe whatever it was would
Yeah.
come back out towards Lance a little more. Nothing.
Nothing.
You know,
No, I'll
we could
say
hear
though-
some other things. Remember we were.
I was gonna say, because Tana was on the parabolic listening,
Yeah.
and she's just like, "Does anybody else hear that? I can hear like voices." They're like,
Yeah, it was like a couple
like
little.
down the hall, and then even in that
Oh,
room,
Patience.
even when
Patience
It was a
talking.
pain. And I should say too, when you did that, I deliberately made myself scared because I had already had my little thing with him, and you know, I wanted to make sure that he was able to, if he had the strength to, you
Yeah.
know.
And I gotta say, I was disappointed, man. I was so hyped up to fight with the ghost. I was like, oh,
Why do you do that too?
It had been a stressful week. You know,
Yeah.
like I had a lot going on. I was like, I'm gonna take out some frustration with this.
This mother. Yeah.
When Tana heard those voices and stuff, I went back to the room
Hey,
where
Lisa.
people used to be chained for punishment,
Mm-hmm.
and I just had a personal conversation with the other spirits.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Look, you know,
Calm,
this is,
collected.
you know, you guys are good. You can, go, you know, there's a
Yeah.
bunch of stuff we
And
talked
then we
Yeah,
did
you
that
can move
when
on
we
and-
were getting ready to leave. Shamey and I went down and put out some tobacco and stuff. Well, I did see the spirit ball went off a couple times from the second floor when I got there. When you guys were all in the hall.
Yeah,
there.
we need to mention too, Lance, because of what was going on, he didn't. He was there pretty late, so
Yeah.
he missed a
I
lot
was
of
there
the stuff
maybe
that
an hour.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of spirits there, but he kind of hoards over everything.
he took control and yeah.
Yeah, he's a bully.
Yeah.
He was a bully to them. He
Well,
experimented
from what
on
I know
them.
about him in
He
real life,
hurt them and thought, no, that's okay. They're
he was
just
a
dummies.
doctor. He
Yeah.
was in a small town. He was a big shot, well dressed, always wore a big cape and
Mhm.
top hat. And,
Was a doctor.
yeah,
Yeah,
he really had a lot of attention there, right? And he could hoard over what he considered
Get away with doing whatever
Yeah.
he wanted
And,
with that too.
We mentioned in our first podcast too, like he had a policy of no women were allowed in the basement past a certain time.
No men.
After,
No women.
No women nurses.
no women nurses
No,
were
oh,
allowed.
no.
But there were women
No.
patients in there.
No.
Oh, there was no.
There were women
men.
patients that
just
were
he and the other men were
considered
allowed in
harder
that time.
cases that were chained to their
down.
beds
That's-
down in the basement.
Yeah.
Those women that were chained to the bed,
Yeah.
after 5 p.m., no more female nurses were allowed to go down there and assist them.
No, just he and the other
Just
men.
the males.
Yeah. Which
and
is
him.
freaking gross. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah. But like we said, he was, you know, he was for a human entity, he was pretty strong.
He was pretty strong for a human entity, right?
You know,
Now, well,
and I do think if we hadn't been as
maybe
cautious
you
as
gotta
we
think,
were,
if what they say about that kind of stuff is true, maybe he was human who became whatever, but that doesn't mean he
He
didn't
didn't
get
evolve.
stronger.
yeah,
He didn't turn into
Human
something
from
else. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I'm not saying he was like a demon or
No.
something, but like you could evolve. I guess is the
Yeah.
word.
but I think it was a good idea. I do think that the cat and the things let us know. Like, I think he is strong enough that if we didn't take extra precautions, if we didn't make sure, because sometimes
We're very careful with how
yeah,
we our medicine.
but sometimes we get a little lax.
we do.
Like, oh crap, I forgot my leather. Or I
Forgot to
forgot
smoke
to
myself.
smoke myself before I came
Yeah.
in. Nobody did. We made sure everybody
This
was
one, yeah.
careful.
Smoked our entire
Everybody-
And, we do,
houses,
and that does,
properties.
it's a tendency. When you do as many investigations and speaking stuff and
Yeah.
walking, you got to get.
Sometimes you
And
forget.
I think he is definitely the type and strong enough to, if we had forgotten any of those things,
He
to
would-
attach to
he
somebody.
would have taken advantage of it really
You know.
quickly. Yep.
So I think the warnings we got were a good thing.
And what
we
he
took
had
the
said
necessary
about
precautions.
Lisa and appearing to Lisa and all
Yeah.
was that he's trying to make her believe that he
do something.
can do something
Yeah.
to her and make her scared
Well,
and
he's a
weak so
bully.
that he
Yeah.
can just come
You know,
do whatever
I
he
mean,
wants.
But
mean,
it didn't work.
It did not
It
work.
did not
Just
work.
He's an adult spirit.
Uh-huh.
You know, who's the first one he tries to pick on? A child.
Yeah.
Yep.
I also
You know, he's a.
want to mention this time around, like our second investigation, like so the first one we had a lot of, almost every kind of entity or spirit that was there came in some sort of way, right? Or at least we assumed that. There's how many came through.
Yeah.
The second time, we got hardly anything. We got a couple little voices maybe in the
Yeah, but I
basement.
think that was all because of him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
because
That's what
he
I
was
getting to.
dominating
Yeah, I think
them.
he either he just planned it to make them all shut up because he knew we were coming,
Yeah.
or they just were genuinely scared.
I think they were
And-
there because Lisa did get some stick figures. I think Crystal and them did,
Mhm.
but I think he was like, don't interact with him. You know. I
Thank
think-
you, Lisa, for the donation. Appreciate that.
I don't know where else he. I'd be curious because he wasn't there the first time we went in the beginning.
Right.
He showed up later. We got him on camera. It looked, I assume,
Yeah, I think he
coming
was
in.
hiding, kind
Yeah.
of standing off in the background watching.
Or I don't know because he obviously can go other. He's not bound to there.
No.
Maybe there's
I
somewhere
think
else
that was the
in that
pinnacle of his
town.
greatness in his mind.
That
you
he
know,
go-
where he felt the most powerful and he was in trouble.
See, but we don't even know which doctor it was. They've had.
We do
many-
have his name.
Do you?
Oh, you do?
I wonder where he lived. I wonder if he goes to his house. Because like
Goes
I
back
have
our
it on
first stone
my
house,
notes. I can't remember.
our
about
first investigation, I don't think he was there for the first couple hours. Because once he was there,
we didn't get
he wanted
anything
us to
until-
know he was
Till
there.
later, unless he was just trying to
This time
build
he
up
knew
the
we were
strength
coming, and he
Yeah.
was there from the beginning.
from the beginning. For what we can
So
tell.
I wonder if he goes between like maybe the place where he had lived, and then comes back to work.
Yeah,
to
maybe.
torment the people
Or
there.
maybe,
Maybe.
the way I felt for the first one, he didn't see us as a threat in the beginning, right? I think he was sitting back. When we were starting to interact with these people, playing music for them, they were laughing.
telling them, trying to help them move on.
You know,
Mhm.
talking about instruments and all this stuff.
Yeah.
They were enjoying themselves. We were giving them hope.
Yeah.
And I
He
think
didn't like that.
it angered, you know.
Yeah, because
And
when
then
I
he kind
did,
of made the big grand appearance.
Yeah.
You know.
because I remember towards the end of the night, that first time, I did a spirit box session, and I believe you and Monkey were down there.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else was down there.
No, I think it's just
And
the
he
three of
came
us.
through on the spirit box to me too, and he
Mhm.
sounded like a grumpy old man.
Mhm.
Like, and he sounded mad.
Yeah.
And you know what, Chris? It did get really sick that first time. My back was killing me for
Oh,
some
mine too. Yeah.
We had these weird things that did
But see-
happen. He's strong in a way,
Yeah.
but
I think he stretched himself too thin that week,
Yeah.
and he couldn't do that.
I
stuff.
think, like you said,
But
he kind
also-
of expunged himself way too quickly and
I
just.
mean, we're actually over our
yeah, we
normal
need to-
time, but I wanted to and I didn't notice it till I was reviewing the videos for our first trip there. When he showed up or let himself be known, even subconsciously, we knew. Like the first couple of times, Chrissy and I went in the basement. The very first time, she actually said, "I don't think we're going to get much down here because I don't feel anything."
He's like, oh really?
You know. And then the second time we went down, but right before he came through, right after Lisa got him on camera, we go down to the basement and she's not even thinking about, we're just talking.
Right.
And she's like, "Ew, it feels gross down here. Like, why are we even coming down here? I don't want to come down here."
Yeah.
Which was totally different than 30 minutes before when I have her
No, I
on
don't think
video
we're gonna
saying, "I
get
don't think
anything."
there's anything down here."
Right.
So when you guys, what was the feeling when you guys got there? Does anybody have any?
I don't
It was
normally
a
get the
negative,
feelings.
oppressed
so-
feeling. The whole place, instead of, now keep in mind, the first time we had like a scream in the hallway and, elevators dinging and making
Doors
noises.
slamming.
But we did hear like moaning and stuff down
Moaning.
there.
Yeah, we heard all that stuff the first time. But
Yeah.
it didn't feel really oppressive until that guy made an appearance.
Okay.
And the second time, it was a bit of a downer, like negative-ish. I think
I don't know. It was odd.
he was
Fine.
more. Well, he thought he was more ready for us.
He might even know his limitations, and that's why I think he was trying to get us not to go to.
Oh yeah, I think that was the whole point. To keep
Yeah.
us from going to the second investigation.
Yeah, because I think he knows.
And he's a human spirit, so he can't read minds or all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If he knew we were coming, it's because he was tracking us.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm sure the people
Or-
there, because it started when you were supposed to get the legal paperwork.
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody there maybe said, "Oh,
Yeah.
we need to send this to Shane."
Right, and
You
it
know.
started like the night just before you signed the paperwork.
And not just that, the employees there are talking about us coming.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, so yeah, it was made aware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we got a lot of.
Any
talk about
questions or
during that.
anything?
We
wanna
did.
get to?
Well, I just put in that just message. So yeah, if you guys on TikTok, Facebook, whatever, even YouTube when you guys watch this, if you have any questions at all, go ahead and give us a comment. Drop them down now, even for the live people, and
Yeah.
If you have
You
any
know.
viewers.
Yeah, I have you.
we'll try to get to them. but-
Yeah, and the questions, any engagement really helps us out a lot.
Yeah.
As Hunter said, we have our Facebook, or not face, YouTube. Damn old. The MyTubes, Facebox. Yeah, that sounds.
Tweet.
We haven't been
Twitter.
as active on the YouTube.
The YouTubes.
Because this has been like our busy season.
Yeah.
During the winter, we're going to post more regularly. But for our past investigations and our past podcasts, check out Spirit Hunters Inc. on our YouTube channel. Look for the logo.
Look for this
That's,
logo.
that's us.
Well,
And the SpiritHunters.group for links to all of our social medias, our TikTok, our Facebook, our
TikTok is right in our bio.
Twitter, YouTube,
Ghostly Chronicles.
Ghostly Chronicles, Lisa's blog.
We got a shout out for Bill too. Bill Robertson,
We're up to
a member of ours,
1075.
Yeah.
writes Ghost Revisited 1 through 7 and about 60 other books.
Thank you,
Ghost
Jimmy Bello,
Revisited
for the
7
likes.
came out at the end of October. Check it out. We're in that book. We're in
And
the
Lisa.
previous 6, and I hope we work together a lot. So
Yeah.
help the guy out, and
Yeah, Ghostly Chronicles. Follow us if you're not watching this on there on TikTok, and Lisa's personal TikTok and Hunter's personal TikTok, where they also stream some ghosty content.
Maybe we'll do like a 3-way live when next investigation or something, or 2-way, you know.
we also have a Twitter account which doesn't get a lot of action. Sorry, or X, whatever the heck.
Well,
Twitter.
I mean, Twitter's like a corpse, so we don't.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Instagram.
I want to say to our members who couldn't come tonight, really appreciate you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For all of our Toms and Chrissies and
Yeah.
Ellens and
Yeah.
you know we.
Yeah.
Bills.
Team wouldn't be the same
Bill.
without you guys.
Yeah, well, Bill hasn't been on the podcast
But
yet.
I have a
Yeah, because he goes to bed
Then-
before we start the
Oh,
podcast.
yeah. Opie, do you still have that question you were holding your hand up for?
What
Will
is
you ask it
It's-
loud enough?
Speak
like,
up.
It's kind of like a question, but like also it's like a comment thing. But like with this like thing with like that person like between like the phone, they had like the same face expression, and also like their face was like kind of like vibrant. It was like warmish.
Okay,
Huh,
the thing you
yeah.
saw was
The
vibrant.
same thing of kind of vibrating.
Oh, vibrating.
Yeah, but that being said,
yeah.
Happy hunting!
thanks so much for watching, guys. See you
Thanks,
later.
guys.
Can he fit in the camera all the way?
I like his,
Check out those
I like his
paws.
Einstein throw.
Yeah, look how big his freaking paws
His Santa Claus.
got some. Oh wait,
Santa Claus, get it?
his Santa paws.
Same recording.
Our behind the scenes director is Hopi.
Some of you may have saw her on the
Producer,
camera earlier when we started up.
She
Put my
really
hair in a
cracks
ponytail.
the whip back there.